People have to be able to relate to every single character,
Yeah.
apparently, and it's weird, and I don't like it.
How is it
Just
weird?
as a writer, because I've had people yell at me in my books for not including their race when it's a fictional fantasy book with races that don't exist.
We've had so many times where it's all men fighting all the time, doing all these badass things, and you never get this group of badass women doing their thing. It's okay when men do it, but when women do it, then it's placating. And you know what? Fuck it, fine, let it happen. Because it was a badass scene.
As a hero and as a woman, no, I don't think there's one that really does it justice, and for the lack of better terms.
There is a sentiment right now that I'm gonna just give it away right now that I strongly disagree with, but it seems to be louder and louder. Than some people seem to think that I'm gonna use quotes here, the MCU is being taken over by a woman and politically correctness or woke culture. I don't think it's a thing. But since it's big, and I keep seeing more and hearing more and more about it, I thought that would be a relevant discussion for us to have tonight. And since Croc wanted to talk about this first, I feel some of us might have different opinions. That's why I decided to call this live stream a debate, because I feel we're going to butt heads a little tonight, guys. So, Crocs, you want to tell us where this comes from?
Okay, so basically where this entire thing came from is at first we only had one female Avenger, and that was Black Widow. And everybody loves Black Widow because her character is very even, she's very likable, she gets along with all the other characters. Like, she fits in perfectly. You don't feel like this budding difference between them. And the first movie where we start to really see where it gets a little bit weird, and no, I'm not against any of the female characters in the slightest, but the problem is that they're not written properly. So the first real problem is Valkyrie from Thor Love and not Love and Thunder, that's
Ragnarok.
I mean, you're not
Ragnarok,
wrong,
yeah.
but
Valkyrie is the definition of just why. And the reason why I say that is because her character is just, don't know if I'm supposed to say this or not. She's an asshole. She literally destroys Loki, Hulk, and Thor while drunk, and tases Thor. How did she tase Thor? How is that possible? So, her entire character is just continuity problem entirely, and you just don't like her because her personality is just awful. And Thor and Loki are supposed to be these powerful gods that we set up in the first movie, and it just gets completely reversed by a single female character. And that's the first one that started, and it's been happening more and more and more and more. And I love that they're trying to add these characters, but we need good, like, not that were characters that we're not going to hate. In the recent one, what they
Taking
did.
notes.
So the recent one, go for it.
No, go. Just taking notes
Me?
on what you say, because
wait, can I
Yeah.
go for it?
I already
Yeah, go for
disagree a
Oh
little bit.
shit, I'm raising my hand. God damn it.
You're gonna have to interrupt and jump in. Jump in and
I can
interrupt
find-
because we can't see you.
Yeah, you gotta jump and interrupt, but
Okay,
you
go.
can go after me. Because right now you're just staring at me and like
Dead
like,
eyes.
God, that's good eyes. That is the eyes I'm making right now.
yeah. Wait, do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
No, you go ahead.
All right. So just from what I've heard so far, not everyone likes Black Widow because I do not like Black Widow.
That's totally
just-
understandable.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the acting. I think Scarlett Johansson's a good actress, but
Yeah.
I think it's just over time she's gotten better. And I think that's just because times have gotten better for the MCU. They've
Also, her
gotten
movie
bigger
was bad.
budgets. Her movie was just action film. It wasn't Marvel. It was just action
No.
film, like basic action film. It was just like it was a good in the terms of an action film, but in a Marvel movie it was kind of boring. Now,
Well, it was totally poorly timed too.
also,
Oh,
I
totally
don't know
was.
why I'm getting I don't even know why the point of it was. Like, why am I getting this? I don't care. She's dead. But anyways,
introduce
that's
her
besides the
sister.
point. Before that movie, I actually liked her better in that movie than I liked her ever before. Before that movie, I didn't like her because her lines were just cringy to me.
Yep.
Like, just and it's not even because of anything other than just the writing and how she says it. And it just made me cringe. I'm glad I like her character idea. Like a badass woman. The story's good. The character development idea is good. It's just like spotty. And maybe if they did like a prequel movie instead of like what happened in between the events before she died and right before she died. So that's why I don't like Black Widow. So
Can I
not
give you-
everyone likes Black Widow. And then I also disagree with Valkyrie because I actually like Valkyrie. And it makes sense.
Let someone else talk, Moose.
I know. I just wanted to finish this.
I don't.
Finish this.
If Valkyrie's on the beginning, it gets worse.
Dude,
I
Valkyrie's
just-
great because she's Asgardian.
I just want to give an example to what Moose said about.
It's my turn.
Jumping in front of Agathon,
It's
Ash.
Agathon's turn.
Go ahead, Ash. I gotta be nice to you because apparently still did something.
It's one line. It's just a line in Endgame where you creepily hear ScarJo go, "She's not alone," like in this
That
weird
one.
monotone. Like that's
I
the
thought
one
that
that
was
always
badass.
like creeps. Really, it was just like I thought it was a good line, but how it was delivered and the tone for how loud it was and how really just
I actually like it.
really,
do
that
too.
was one that creeped me out. I don't know why. Maybe it's just me.
Can
but
I? Hey, Moose.
What up?
Can I ask you a couple questions?
Maybe.
Who what
Oh, God, it's
superhero started? Sorry, what superhero movie started all of the MCU? What was the very first one that kind of started it?
Princess Leia.
Nope.
Wow.
No, that's not it. That's not
Incredible Hulk.
it. Wrong again. Wow,
Oh,
you're the
Iron
Marvel
Man.
guy.
Iron Man.
Yeah,
Iron
thank
Man.
you. Thank you.
I didn't know
thank
if Incredible Hulk or Iron Man went first. I always get.
you. They were in the same summer, but Iron Man was first.
Really?
I'm sorry, I got it wrong by a couple of weeks.
No,
Okay,
it's
you're just
right because
ruining-
at the end of the Incredible Hulk, the end credit scenes features Iron Man.
Mhm. All right, I'm switching over to you, Asparagus. You're better at this game. Hey, Asparagus, what would you say Robert Downey Jr. character is a nice guy, or would you say he's a jerk?
He's a jerk.
Yeah, and isn't he like super popular because he's a jerk and everybody
Was.
loves him because he's sassy?
But he's also a man, so there's a difference.
Yeah, yeah. So Valkyrie's a jerk. Yeah, I think it's great because women can be anything they want to be. I just flourished with my hands a little bit. No, sorry. But seriously, like Valkyrie is
I'm gonna
different
flourish
than
for
every
you.
other woman. Thank you for the flourish. Is different than any other woman that they put in the film because women can be alcoholics too. Women can have PTSD. Women can have a lot of issues, and women can be dicks. And also, she's a Valkyrie. That's why she can kick Thor's ass. She literally is an Asgardian warrior.
That's what I wanted to bring up.
Thor is not even the strongest Asgardian. Like, well, I mean, maybe now that everybody else is dead, he's the strongest Asgardian.
Yeah, probably.
Well, no, he's not, because Valkyrie is still alive.
And running an entire country.
Yes, she is badass. She literally lost all of her peeps, and I don't know. I don't agree. I think Valkyrie is a fantastic addition. I think the actress and Taiki Waititi did an awesome job at creating this character for these films. And as far as most of the women that they've introduced, she is one of my favorites. So I'm disagreeing partly with this one. I
That's
love
fair.
her, and I love ScarJo as well.
But the only reason I brought her up is that's when things started to get weird. And I do like the character, but the continuity problems. Why can we tase Thor?
Maybe because
why can we tase Thor?
it's an Asgardian taser.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's
Or
something different.
it's not just like
magic.
I don't think it would be like our standard taser. You know, like
Yeah,
a human
yeah.
taser.
A police issue that they never remembered to use probably couldn't tase Thor, but
Okay, so do you guys remember the Endgame scene where all the women like team up and defend Spider-Man? That was when people really started to complain because it felt unnatural to a lot of people.
It was forced.
It was very
Why?
forced, and apparently, Captain Marvel, Brie
Agreed.
Larson insisted that this scene was in the movie because there wasn't enough girl power. And at that point, we have a lot of amazing heroes, and even Pepper Potts was up in that. But it felt so unnatural with the rest of the scene. It would have felt more natural with both the guys and the girls working together instead of separating them. And by separating them, a lot of people felt uncomfortable. Which it's fine, but it made a lot of people uncomfortable, and the fact that Brie Larson, I've heard that Brie Larson insisted. I need to find to see if that's a thing. The fact that potentially she insisted that the scene was a part of it is a little bit strange. It's really bizarre.
Why
But
why is nobody complaining when you have all these shots of all male superheroes
Thank
being together
you.
and it is a
that is very
single
true.
there's a single fucking one scene, one in the 27th movie, I think 23 moving we have. Why this one
It-
thing is probably is forced? Like Moose seemed to
Right.
agree with
Well-
you, and
well, just-
are the other ones with one element are they forced as well?
No idea.
No,
I
it's
want
like the
all
way
the
they
heroes to
shoot
be
it.
together.
I
It's
would
the way
say
they shoot it.
It
I
lasts
would say that
15
yes,
seconds.
it is forced. It is very forced, but it's a force that needed to happen. This is one of the highest budget films that has come out in recent years, and we've had so many times where it's all men fighting all the time, doing all these badass things, and you never get this group of badass women doing their thing. It's okay when men do it, but when women do it, then it's placating. And you know what? Fuck it, fine, let it happen. Because it was a badass scene. Yeah, it was forced, but you know what? I know I said a bad word. So my son
I'm
is
sorry,
yelling
baby
at me.
Agaton. You had to hear
Yeah.
that.
I
Had
had
No,
to
it
but-
on
swear.
90.
Wouldn't it have been cooler if they included everyone? Because the problem is that I'm a writer. I have 7 novels. In my experience, when you don't include the females with the males together as one, they seem separated.
Well, they already did. Like, as soon as the portals come out, you see everyone.
Yeah.
Maybe not in like you see it in the same shot really, really like panned out where like you can't like you can see Valkyrie come in on like the Pegasus. Or I think it's a Pegasus.
Yeah, it is.
You see Pepper Potts coming in the suit. Like you see, I mean, those were the two because they were flying that I saw that were women. And you see Ant-Man. You see all of them and all of like the women and the men in that shot. So as I do agree, it was a little bit on the force side, but I don't necessarily think that it was a bad thing, and or that we have to have them more integrated. Because we did get that integration when everyone kind of came through the portals at once. So
Yeah. I just don't see a point of re-separating them again. If they're all united, they should probably
Wasn't-
remain united.
well,
Maybe I
I mean, it's a war.
misunderstood.
They're gonna separate.
Yeah, and wasn't Spider-Man also literally in that scene? The reason all the women assembled was to give cover to Spider-Man, which you can see in the name ends by man, which is probably means that he's a man.
But at the same
Yeah,
time, he's
but
still a
still.
child, and you know that motherly instinct.
Oh,
Sorry.
now you're making it
Well-
even more sexist.
Oh
Okay.
god.
I mean,
Well-
You made it worse, Ash.
Oh god.
Well, okay, wait. Can I want to say my piece on this
Go ahead.
because I like agree but slightly disagree. I think it's forced and it feels unnatural just by it's not by like a bunch of women teaming up. It's just by the way they juice the moment like
Right.
a little long, and the way that they shoot it makes it look like they're trying to make a statement, which is a great statement. But yeah, unfortunately there's a but. I feel like if you were to make things normal, you know, just like act like everyone's a human rather than there's 2 different types of humans. How about you just incorporate them as their own character and how good of a character they are,
Right.
and
that's
you
how I
write
feel.
and you write in good female characters as much as you do male characters, or at least a close enough ratio where everyone's happy, and you don't force like anything that just looks weird, because I feel like it just like looks weird in the movie. Because think about it, what's the probability of everyone of that looks the same is gonna stand next to each other in the middle of war? Like that's why it might look weird. I don't think it looks weird because they're all women and that bothers me. I think it looks weird because of like what's the chance of that
That they
happening?
all end up
Right, the
randomly
continuity.
being at that side. Okay.
Right. So that's why I don't have an issue with women in Marvel. Actually, I think the coolest way to do it and the best way to do it is in Moon Knight. It's an example, not like the only time they've done it, but the Scarlet Scarab. I don't know if anyone watches Moon Knight, but Layla,
I was actually going to bring that up in a
I
bit because there's some issues with it.
you have
I
issues.
haven't been
I
able
have.
to finish the show.
Oh well, sorry. It's not really a big spoiler, but
I know a lot already though. Go on.
um, so Layla gets like powers, and the way that they had set her up, and then they throw in the "Are you an Egyptian superhero?" Yeah, and that is like forcing like a good message, and I
So
actually like that
forced.
because it's quick, it's kind of believable, and it's cool to me. And the way that she just throws them things out, the swords is badass. I don't know. So
It
I
would have
hope you
been better.
understand what
It
She's
I'm
still
would have
saying.
gonna be
been
sued by Falcon, by the way.
right.
We're
It would
doing
have
the
been
exact same
better
moves.
if
Go ahead,
they
Clark, sorry.
just. And the problem with Moon Knight, and I was going to bring this up anyway, is that it's become Scarlet Scarab starring Moon Knight. And the thing about Scarlet Scarab is that Scarlet Scarab is actually a partial villain character in the comics that is a African American guy, from what I've seen. So they've gender bent and race bent this character, and Moon Knight is like non-existent for half the show. It's like how they had that final villain fight with Hawkeye, and it was the girl that he was training versus the villain and then Hawkeye and this girl
Okay.
had a cry fight.
Well,
It's
there's
really
one
bizarre.
difference, right? There's one big difference because Hawkeye is a mantle that is shared by those two characters. So by naming the show Hawkeye, it can be either about Kate Bishop or Clint Barton.
They're both
Moon
Hawkeye.
Knight is the name of one specific guy. So there's a difference. So if you have a show named Moon Knight and you spent most of it on another character, I can see why people would
Well,
could have issues. But if your show is called Hawkeyes and there's literally two characters that I call Hawkeye, and one of the two Hawkeyes gets more screen time, I think it works. It's not a problem to me.
I don't think that Layla got more time than Moon
Me neither.
Knight. I don't even
I-
think she was like focused on her as much. I think it was pretty well balanced on like how much of a side character she was.
I probably have to go back and pull up the screen time because I didn't do that beforehand. But apparently she does. I'm not sure. And
Well, are you talking about like Moon Knight or just like Oscar Isaac's character in general? Because if it's versus suited
Oscar
up Moon Knight,
Isaac's character in general. People wanted this to be like the first comic where Moon Knight beats the ever-living sin out of a werewolf. And it wasn't it, and people are really confused because the Moon Knight from the comics is becoming different than the one in the Marvel universe. But they're saying it's the same person. They're not doing like different universe thing like they're doing with Doctor Strange. It's just the same character. And the reason why this worked with Venom and Deadpool is because Venom and Deadpool did this really well. It doesn't work very well with other characters, and it attaches to She-Hulk, which is a lot like Deadpool. If they don't do it right, and there's already been complaints about her being too skinny and stuff like that as well, if they don't do it right, it's not going to work. Because there's a lot of fourth wall breaking and stuff like that. And I'm not quite sure. From the trailer, it looked like they were doing some rom-com training thing. I'm not sure what they're doing with it, but it just seems like these female characters are getting like you want them to be badass heroes, but then the lines feel forced. Like
Well,
in
I
Moon
wanna-
Knight, it like it would have been better if they said, "Are you a superhero?" Not "Are you an Egyptian superhero?"
ooh, I totally disagree with that.
Yeah, I'm one.
The Egyptian part is what makes the message clear that we're including more races into Marvel and diversity. And you need more of that because that's representation. And I know Egyptian's very specific, but that could also just mean light-skinned people of color, like myself, could have a representation of, especially a female superhero. And that's cool. So whether you're Egyptian or you're just straight up African, it's cool to have that representation. I think that's why they put in that little word. I'd rather have that little word than I don't know. I mean, that little word goes a long way. So I wouldn't just put, "Are you a superhero?" Because it's obvious she's a superhero. That'd almost be a
Obviously,
redundant
yeah.
question. So
I want to bring up something. I mean, it's not too much off topic. It's more so just about, I believe f for the representation I would want as a woman for it to be more quality over quantity. And I
Right.
feel like the MCU right now is putting out a lot of quantity of female characters, either showing characters too soon, gender bending. I think the biggest thing that I know that people hated that was bended was Taskmaster,
That's
which there
right.
was
Yeah.
like a whole and not and I a lot of the arguments I see with Taskmaster aren't even about it being gender bend, but just a really disappointing character that showed up in the MCU that's supposed to be an actually like really strong villain and someone who can go head to head with most of the Avengers. Um in general. Uh, and I mean, quality wise, I don't think there is a female Marvel superhero where I'm sitting here like, she's the one.
Right.
Like
That's what I mean in all
Black
this. They're not working.
Black Widow. We look at Black Widow, I as someone who has only seen the movies, which, take it as you will. Like, if you think I'm not qualified to have an opinion on this, sure. But I think anyone can have an opinion on anything. So you're gonna bark up the wrong tree here. Um, as someone who hasn't read any of the comic books and has only started with the Marvel Universe film franchise, it was kind of disappointing not to really know much about Black Widow. Or Hawkeye for that matter. I mean, they're two characters that can rival these gods and these like brilliant minds or these mutations, and they're able somehow to stand up with these people. And not only that, but Black Widow, from what I have found out, has a really interesting complex background, and I think the best way to kind of state my disappointment with kind of referencing the MCU movies is the fact that like Black Widow and Hawkeye continuously talk about Buttigieg, and I'm sitting here like, what the fuck are they talking about?
They never
Like,
go over
what?
it once.
They don't go over it. We don't get any backstory. Like even in
Oh,
the
you mean
Black Widow
Budapest?
movie, Budapest.
Buttigieg is
I
an American politician, right?
yeah, it is.
Hmm.
The
I got
disclaimer,
confused for a second.
dyslexic.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. My
Yeah,
bad.
no. I
Because I
just
was
want
someone
people
thinking, where
to.
did they get political? Why are they talking about one of the most openly gay politician ex? I think he was even running for president alongside Trump.
No,
So
we can make fun of myself. I just want a disclaimer that if I mess up words, it's a complete accident because my brain's just like, it's that word, and then someone points out it's not that word. So, Budapest. Thank you. They're
Budapest as
Budapest. Semantics. Um, but and then with the whole her movie after she's already gone, it was kind of like I was sad to see ScarJo die. I cried that first time, but it didn't hit hard. It didn't hit like Iron Man. It didn't hit like Spider-Man.
Or Captain
I
America.
or I didn't like Captain America at all.
well, he
Like
didn't
that's fair.
die. He became Joe Biden. So
That's an interesting. Okay, I'm okay with that one.
I didn't like Captain America. I thought it was a really I mean, I understand where the MC was going as someone who likes to, write and like I really like storylines and figuring out like climaxes and holding things secret. I think I understand why they didn't release that movie, but I think it was a poorly made movie. And I also think that, from what I know, Brie Larson has that, tea and that bad clash
God, I hate
with
Brie Larson.
with the other MCU members, and I think that really shows on screen. Even though they're not acting together, I don't. It's it's one of those weird things where I didn't click with her as well as everyone else.
One I didn't click with. Go. Well, just go quickly and I'll
Nah,
give
you
you
started.
three.
You
Okay.
started.
I don't understand. The one I didn't click it was actually Black Widow. I've absolutely nothing against the character. I just always found her bland and uninteresting, probably because of the way she was portrayed in the movie. But what thing that the Black Widow did for me was Yelena. Yelena was awesome. She became like one of my favorite MCU character ever. I love her so much. She's funny. She's intelligent. She's quirky. I don't know. Yelena was, in my view, the star of the Black Widow movie, to the chagrin of all the Black Widow fans that didn't like it because their character was taking the back seat to introducing. So I think the Black Widow movie was not even to showcase a bit of Natasha, was
Oh, it
to
wasn't. It wasn't at all.
it was a jumping platform for the new Black Widow. It's just okay, this one we're done with. We're just gonna have her a little bit in the movie. By the way, we're having trouble with ScarJo. She's being a problem. She's suing us. So let's just get rid of her and bring a more interesting character so everybody forgets her.
Well, and it's super sad because I mean I can understand where you're coming from when you thought she was a really kind of bland character, as far as like the Marvel like universe goes.
I thought
and
the same about Thor until they fixed him. By the way, until Ragnarok, I dislike Thor as much as I dislike Black Widow. Just gonna make it equal.
my Thor like is biased based off of being a teen with eyes and having that preference. Um, so I can't say much on that, but I can see from like a different version of where you're going with that. But with Black Widow, I think I can agree to say, I didn't love her in all of the movies. Like I thought she was a great addition, but she wasn't the meat. She was probably like the nice green beans with, you know, baked in
Yay.
with bacon. There's some good in there, but all
That
in
is
all,
good.
it's kind of it's not what I'm going for first. And sorry, my references are all to food. I was just eating.
Yeah, I don't remember what I was gonna
yet, so you're
say. I don't remember what I was gonna say.
I'm so sorry, Boos.
No. It wasn't. I think I was gonna say something, then I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna. Not because it was too dicey. Oh yeah, the other thing I was gonna say was I do not like Brie Larson. I'm just gonna throw it out there.
I don't
Like
either.
her. And it's mainly because I caught the vibe of her personality through her acting and interviews. Like they seem the same, and like her acting gives me off a standoffish vibe when she doesn't need to be.
Right.
And I just don't like that in any human being. And then her interviews are almost the same. And
I need a
I just don't. I mean, I haven't watched any other movie that she's in. And we've already talked about this on the show. And I know there's partial, if not full
Scott
agreement.
Pilgrim's versus the World. So like half the Avengers franchise are in Scott Pilgrim's anyway. But yeah, she's in there.
Yeah, I never watched it.
What?
Sounds like a movie that doesn't
I've
even
seen it,
exist
but
here.
I don't actually like it.
Moose, Scott Pilgrim is an awesome movie. So we're gonna have to talk about that later. I'm gonna.
Scott Pilgrim is an awesome movie.
Thank
It
you,
is.
Anton.
Glad you guys didn't hear what I said. Okay, I can I just fight Hellish on this real quick, or like can I have some facts? Because nowhere in the movies did
I thought you guys were
she
becoming
ever
best friends.
get enhanced with the super soldier serum?
Is
So
she?
it
Black
was
Widow.
it was mentioned a little bit, but the problem is that it never really was gone over.
I've
like
never
the
thought
rest
she
of Black
was.
Widow things.
Really?
Oh,
What, is she supposed to be enhanced? I've never.
Wait, no, I
Supposed to
don't
be, yeah.
think that's true.
I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, I've never
And
heard
I
of
have
that.
seen every movie multiple times. I feel like
Wait, where did Hellish even say that?
She's supposed to be a trained assassin with some sort of like mind control thing, and that's the most that was gone over. I don't remember exactly if she fully was like injected with something in the comics, but then again, the MCU does not stick to the comics whatsoever.
well, and that's what I'm saying too. Like I'm you have to I think everyone here needs to realize I'm only going based off of the movies.
Same. I didn't read a single
Um,
comic in my life.
And
Yeah,
not
it's-
only that, but when it comes to you said that she has some mind reading capabilities.
Well,
At least
no,
probably if you're talking about the comics, she's great at manipulating people to, speak things that they really shouldn't.
I think
She's
she
really good
was
at.
saying. I think she was saying that she was mind controlled, not
yes,
that
that's
she
what I
has
was
mind
saying.
control powers.
Okay.
Duh. Sorry.
Well,
Welcome back,
Wow.
Agathon.
No, like every time I've tried to talk, like you guys can't see me, so I'm just like, all right, I'll just type in
just
chat.
start talking. Come
Just
on.
jump in,
No.
Agathon.
interrupt.
Take your place.
Take my place.
Yeah, no,
Interrupt
I'm
the
the same way,
woman on this
Agathon.
woman panel. Go ahead. Just look bad. Just talk on top of him.
At least we're not talking
Uh,
about like women's issues again. So
Oh, God.
Asparagus, I would bet money that I'm probably the biggest feminist on this show.
I
Oh,
right
God.
now.
I know. That's why I'm telling you that. That's why I made a joke about you mansplaining on the other show.
Yeah.
Is there a spectrum of feminist?
I'm uber feminist.
There kind of
Oh.
is a spectrum, just a tad, but no, we're not going to go into that.
I'm mega feminist.
That's one step below me, man. You're doing real good.
That means
You're
millions.
getting there.
That means millions times feminist.
I wanted to bring a point here because I did a little bit of math today, and I want to see, first of all, before I go, do you think a character having a movie or a Netflix series is indicative of how important they are? And if yes, is it better to give a Netflix series to a character, or is it like bad and you just relegate them to the Disney Plus? Do you think
I feel like-
characters that are getting their series and not a movie are elevated or diselevated? What's the word for that? They're like insulted by it. If you're getting a series and not a movie, is it a good or a bad thing?
I would say, as far as what I can tell, just based off of general public, kind of what I see being more of the norm is more people go and watch these movies. I see more families. I've talked to a lot of people who have only seen the Marvel movie franchise, and whenever I bring up the like shows, they're like, "What?" Or they're like, "Oh, a show? Is it gonna be as good as the movie?" I feel like,
Because you can spend more time with the character with shitty budget. So here's the math. Moose is gonna like that because I'm bringing science in here. Out of the 23 released Marvel movies so far, only 2 of them feature a woman as the lead. That would be Captain Marvel and Black Widow, which make
Even their own
8%.
leads.
Well, they're the lead of their own movies.
but the movies are trash.
Yep.
Yeah, but that's outside the point. I'm saying 8% of all the Marvel movies feature a woman as the lead. As though if you go through the series, there are 18 Marvel series, and I'm counting the Netflix one that came to Disney and are now canon. And 6 out of 18 series feature a woman as the main protagonist, which makes it 33%.
And what
So,
are the main?
is there a reason why woman-led shows get series and not movies?
I think Marvel, even just with any character, I think Marvel is moving more towards series anyways. I think that's what they want to do with like longer stories, where you could basically put it in 3 movies, but they choose like 3 series instead. Not 3 series, but like a series, because you could not WandaVision is not a good example, but
No.
like Loki, you could put that in like 2 movies, but they did it over a course of a series. As for women getting series over, I don't
Yeah,
see
WandaVision,
women
Agent
versus-
Carter, Jessica Jones, Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, Ironheart. Go ahead, Agaton.
I was just gonna say, logistically, it doesn't make sense to have a woman as a lead in a movie
Why?
because they don't make money,
Oh, that's why.
and
I
it's
mean, if
and
you're
it's
looking
not
at it from a capitalistic point of view, yes.
no, and it's not because the movies aren't good. It's just because audiences, when they want to see an action film, they always have their action stars that they think of, and almost the
All of
majority of action stars are men. There are some women action stars, but I will say, I am not going to spend $30 at the movie theater to go see, a comedy or an artsy film I'm gonna watch them at home, but I'm going to the theaters to watch action film.
Yeah.
Like
Big
to see
spectacle,
things
right?
that, like, yeah, big spectacle, big sound, big lights, everything. That's what I want. Um, and just I believe, well, it's not a belief, it's friggin' fact that the majority of the public will not go to a movie with a female lead. But Marvel has attached what Captain Marvel and Black Widow, and Black Widow also came out on Disney Plus, which I think hurt that one a ton.
It's the
But
stew.
even
Doing?
but what's that?
Go on.
But Captain Marvel came out to theaters, and that one did not get a great audience either
Did it? I
compared
thought
to
Captain Marvel was
other.
one of the more profitable movies they made.
No.
That's probably one
No.
of the worst.
Yeah.
Let me check.
Can-
Let me fact check here.
Real quick, can I bring my writing knowledge into this? Because there's a very specific reason why this is the way it is. And one from experience, when writing anything, and I'm an anime writer, you go into anime and there's a lot of female protagonists and male protagonists, but the difference is that the females are written wonderfully. And one of the biggest things is that when I write what I write, because I have a female protagonist in mind, I unify the males and the females and they work together. And the characters suffer equally in some senses. By separating the two and making the females seem like all the females seem like assholes, the movies aren't gonna make profit because they want characters they can relate to, but if the females are awful people, you're not gonna want to go see their movies. And
That's because people are fucking sexist. That's Agathon pointed out earlier. You have a character that's being sassy and a little bit sarcastic. If he's a man, he's awesome. He's cool. If she's a woman, she's called a bitch.
well, no, that's
We're
not
doing the
the
exact
thing
same thing.
either. But the thing is that like you look at anime, which in some cases do better than Marvel movies. I mean, look at Demon Slayer. They have male protagonists, but it's still really popular because the female and male protagonists work together so well. What Marvel and like even like other shows are doing is they're separating the characters like one is better than the other gender-wise. And that doesn't work very well. So they need to blend the characters better together and actually have them work as a team properly and not like try to be better than one or the other because that
Would
doesn't work very
argue-
well.
I would argue, as an avid anime watcher, that Demon Slayer isn't the best example of a mix of both female and male in one anime. Like, they do have their females, but especially in the movie, and they're not. I mean,
That's very true.
they're
Let
not
me think of
really
a
in the
better
movie.
example. Let me
It's
think of a
very
better
heavily
example.
male-based with a few good female protags.
Let's see. Bleach has a good mix. One
think
Piece has a
Fairy
good
Tail-
mix.
Fairy Tail has a great
Fairy
mix.
Tail, yes,
I'm a
absolutely.
avid Fairy Tail watcher. Especially since it's actually the story is written in the viewpoint of the main female and is narrated by the main female in the show.
Exactly.
So-
And it does wonderfully, and people love these shows. And like One Piece, one character's not more focused on than the other than the main character. But the crew works together really well no matter the gender. Heck, one of them's a skeleton, the other one's a little reindeer thing. It works really well. And Marvel and other shows are thinking that this is the way to go because one side is saying there needs to be more men and one
Wait,
side
are you
saying there needs to be
saying
more
One
women.
Piece is a positive portrayal of a woman character? Are you talking about Nami?
There's multiple female characters in that show that
Nami's
are really good.
is constantly being filmed as some kind of prize to get. Everybody looks at her like a piece of meat. I mean,
Oh yeah,
it's
but
become a
there's
meme at this
other
point
females.
to say I'm not a piece of meat, but the way they treat Nami, and which is one of the main characters, is just so atrocious. I had to stop watching the show. It was just
Interesting.
ridiculous.
There are other
It
females.
was making me
that I
uncomfortable,
really
and I
enjoy.
like to look at pretty people.
Wait,
Interesting.
which show are we talking about?
One
Sorry,
Piece.
I was,
One
I
Piece.
was talking
Wow.
about more than just Nami because there's some females that are treated that way and other ones that are not. Like I can't remember her name. She produces a bunch of hands, just perfection.
Nico Robin.
Yeah, Nico. Thank you.
I've not so far. I've stopped watching One Piece at some point, so I know who she is, but I don't know. I got weirded out by the fact. And Nami's like something like supposed to be like 14 or 15, and she's that was too much for me.
They are made in Japan, where the legal age
Right.
is that.
I'm trying to think of a good show though that doesn't have the fanfic. Like not the fanfic, sorry. The
Fan service.
fan service, thank you. Because Fairy Tale is very heavily fan service, but it does go on both sides. I will say that it's evenly distributed fan service for both or well, I guess that's also kind of incorrect of me to say. I mean, if we're gonna really go into the whole, I'm gonna keep it simple. I'm a simpleton. Um,
Same.
My Hero Academia is a really good mix of both male and female characters, I'd say.
I just don't understand why Marvel wants to separate the two so badly when it would work really well if you mixed them like an X-Men.
I think Marvel does I think Marvel really pays attention to what's happening in the world. I think they're really not that they're trying hard to be current, but just look at the Black Panther where Suri goes, "What are those?"
That's very true, and that was a very good movie.
I've good. It doesn't describe how brilliant and how I will continue watching that movie for the rest of like my days. I absolutely loved the music, the graphics, the storyline. I think it was done amazing.
I think we've lost the boys.
I don't know. I don't watch anime. I haven't watched a single episode of any anime
Yeah,
ever.
but then they started talking about Marvel, and I was like, ooh, we got to jump in now. We got to jump in. This is our thing. No, Ash, I'm talking. Ash, I'm talking. You had the floor.
Damn.
I just wanted to say off of the.
Much?
I'm not mansplaining. I'm telling you to wait your turn.
I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna not.
I'm gonna leave.
Friggin' Asparagus is gonna have some fun things to take off from this one now. There I am, the thumbnail, just telling women to stop talking. Jesus.
I don't mind. I'm
Let me
fine.
guess, Agathon, you're man-spreading too.
I am. It's very
Mans-
comfortable.
Spreading
It
or
is.
splaining or both?
Spreading.
Both. And there's also manswering. But first off, I want to say that I think that they mesh men and women in the Marvel movies very well. It started off very poor. I mean, Iron Man, you had Pepper Potts, who didn't really add much to the story. But then you have all of these new characters. Even in Ant-Man, you have these awesome, badass characters, female characters in there that are helping out, doing more than what the actual heroes are doing. I think they're doing well. I think they're doing fantastic, and they're making real superheroes that you can actually relate to, because all people have problems, and I think that's what they're really showcasing in these new ones.
All
And there,
people
I'm done.
do have problems. That
Yep.
is, damn.
Well, the only reason I wanted to talk right before you said something about Marvel was because it was a little bit like anime related still. I was just gonna note how it's kind of funny because I know more guys who watch anime than I do females, but here we have a group of people where the two girls, watch the most anime. So I
know a
was
lot of anime girls.
I
in
write
my life
anime.
who have tried to get me to watch anime, and I try, and I've just never gotten into it.
Same, Agathon.
But I'm super
they're
into
trying
fantasy.
to watch
Yeah.
trash like AOT, but
I've never watched an episode of Attack on Titan.
Don't.
But I love fantasy, and that's a genre that people either love or they hate. And Moose hates it.
Hey,
I had to
man.
throw the little jab here.
I'm not gonna
Well, you
disagree.
do. Yeah, I'm not. It's not a jab. It's true.
I didn't say it was a jab.
No,
It's just-
Asparagus did.
Oh, well.
Well, you always have to. Question here. I'd like to bring us a little bit back into topic, but this question would be especially for Moose and Agaton. I would like to have both your input on this. There's a lot of things that I hear about looking forced, and I think we might have some different opinions on this. Would you guys think it would look less? I'm gonna use quote because I don't agree with the word, but I understand that it's a very widespread opinion. Do you both think that it would look like less forced if there was more than one woman on the Avenger team? Would Black Widow stand out less if there was another woman on the team, and would it look less forced, or most would you say that it's even more forced?
I'm confused. I swear there's quite a bit of women on the Avengers, because
they were never
everyone's
on
an Avenger.
The team.
Talking about the original team, the original 5.
Well, the main team, yeah, the core of the MCU. There's like 5 buff guys and Black Widow, and the fact that she's the only one makes her stand out even more. And I think that's one of the reasons it feels like that's one of the reasons people use the word forced, because it stand out.
I was confused because basically everyone in Endgame is an Avenger. Like, they're part of the team. That's why he says Avengers assemble. And so I thought you were talking about that, where it's pretty good number of women on the team. I don't know the number percentage. I don't really care to get into the stats. But as I'm on my tangent, I forgot what your original question was. But now I'm starting to remember as I'm speaking, so I'm just gonna keep going. I don't think it would take away if there was like 2 or 3 women. I'm more of like as I said at the beginning, I just look at it depends like what their powers are, how stupid their powers are, I guess. It doesn't have to do anything with.
They started the whole thing, but instead of having Clint Barton as Hawkeye, we had Kate Bishop right from the start. She was the original Hawkeye. Would you think that would have?
I would piss off a lot of people only because Hawkeye, Clint Barton is like the main dude, and then he passes down to Kate Bishop, I'm pretty sure. And
so you need to have a dude to establish something, then pass it down, being nice to pass it down to a woman.
Maybe
when they cannot establish something on their own.
Maybe when they originally wrote the character, but I'm talking about like how they wrote the character. It didn't start with Kate Bishop. If I'm wrong about that, then boom, I'm not saying I would be mad. I'm just saying there's people that would be mad if you were like, yeah, let's just scratch the original character for Hawkeye and just skip right to Kate Bishop without an origin story.
So, Wasp in the comics is a founding member of the Avengers.
Yeah.
So I would be fine with Wasp being in the Avengers. I would have been fine with other awesome female characters who've been in the Avengers. But the instant you start changing, like if they would have introduced Thor as the female Thor right off the bat, yeah, that would have been stupid because the original character is Thor male. Same with any of the other characters. I mean, said also turning Wasp into a male character would have been fucking awful. But no, as long as you put these characters who are true to themselves and true to their origin, and they're in the Avengers, I'm perfectly fine with it. And I think it would be well-rounded in the community as being fine as well.
And I also think it's sure if you're saying it's because it's male, that type of argument, I think it's mainly because back when these characters were originated, sexism was way more common than it is now. I'm not saying it's not common now, but I'm saying it's way more common back then. So that's why you mainly see male superheroes as the Avengers. And maybe that I feel like it's a lot of just from how the comics were originated, and they've got to throw it in because, like we just said, it would be weird if they just changed basically how they were originally written. So, even if it's for the better of humanity, you get what I'm trying to say. You get it.
Thank you so much, Anonymous, for this gifted sub. That is incredible. I presume this is probably Agaton. Question for the entire panel here. I would like everyone to answer. I'm probably gonna aim it at Croc first. Are there any female superhero, female character in the MCU that you think that were done correctly, that were done the right way?
Well, it's one of those things where, honestly, Black Widow got close, but not really. I'm waiting to see if they do She-Hulk, okay, because I've read these comics and I know how they're supposed to be. The only thing I can say is that if you were a writer and someone took your work and just changed the characters' genders or races without asking you first or changing the lore, would you be mad? Would you be mad? I know I would be mad because I've spent 10 years of my life writing my work. I would be really annoyed. Um, and like we lost Stan Lee and all that, but it doesn't mean we can allow people to write all over the or walk all over the characters, regardless of its own universe or not. Black Widow is the closest. If they get She-Hulk right, she'll be the best. But from what I've seen, they're not going to, and that's upsetting because there are so many amazing female characters in Marvel. So many of them. Like, um, I suddenly brain. Like Fantastic Four, we're supposed to be getting a movie of that. It has one of the best female characters in Marvel, and they keep screwing up the character.
Yeah,
They
they keep
just
making the, oh no, she's naked, but she's invisible. You can't
right,
see her,
exactly.
you thirsty little boys.
Exactly. No, so in my opinion, they just need to look at the source material instead of trying to modernify all these characters, because it's not going to work. People love these characters, and they need to stick to the source material, or people are going to continue to get mad. And they're not going to do that like they're doing with Lord of the Rings. Because they keep changing source material, people are getting annoyed. Um, that's all I can say. That Black Widow, She-Hulk, if they get She-Hulk right, she'll be the best. Otherwise, no, they're messing it up entirely. The characters do not match, and people are getting annoyed, especially because they don't match at all.
A quick detour because you mentioned Lord of the Ring, and I just thought of something. Agathon, you're a recent expert on Lord of the Ring. I seem to remember they created a new character for the movie, right? The lady that's I think she's Theoden's daughter. I think she was not
Toriel, I
in the
think.
book. Yeah, was there any backlash to that? Do you guys remember?
Yep.
There was?
Yeah, it was really bad. And the new Amazon show is including a lot of races that don't exist in the lore because it was written by Tolkien, and this is supposed to be like Europe, and they're including characters that didn't exist before and races that don't happen, and female dwarves don't have beards, apparently.
Agathon?
Can the Lord of the Rings expert talk now?
Yeah.
The salty
yeah.
expert.
Agathon, all you had to do was raise your hand.
I did. I even wrote in chat, raise his hand, because I have. Oh my god, I have so much to say. First off, Lord of the Rings, Toriel, yes, yeah, was given a negative report by people who didn't like the movie and who weren't true Lord of the Rings fans. But
We have some
true
gatekeeping
fans
coming on here. Okay.
actually enjoyed the
True
character.
fans.
and the love interest. It actually added something more to the story that was only talked about, of relationships between dwarves and elves. And the Silmarillion has a lot of information that is going to be talked about in the Ring of Power, including some experts that were actually written by J.R.R. Tolkien, who changed things about his story after he wrote the books, because he decided he didn't want that. And since it comes directly from the author, it is canon. Even if it's been written in a book previously, the author changed it. And I want to go back to that last thing about, if you're an author, would you be pissed if someone changed around your stuff? Depends. And I think this happens to a lot of authors. Changing sexes, yeah, that could mess, but it also could add something to the story. It really depends on how it is. But if you change the lore of your character, yeah, that makes sense to me. Because you look at any story written from the 60s, 70s, 80s, or even before, you try to make it a modern time to make it relevant, those characters are not going to be the same. Because how they were written by their comics 40 years ago is just going to be a horrible character to what audiences are going to want to see today. So they have to modernize
Okay.
these characters
I
into
can see that.
the new area. And I'm just going to say She-Hulk, if they do her like they did on the comics, I'm going to fucking hate that show. She-Hulk had like 2 good story arcs, and everything else where they just shat on her, and she just changed how she was as a character consistent. And that's all I've got to say. And I'm smiling. I feel like you're not seeing my smiles as
I
I'm
know.
talking about
I can
all
hear
of
it
this.
though. I
You
can
have a
hear
nice
your smile.
smirk right on that photo.
That's true.
so-
That's kind of what I'm doing. I guess I am doing a little bit of a smirk here. But
Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Ash, by the way, for the sub. Going back to my original question, Moose, do you think there's a female character in the MCU that was written in a way that does not feel, I'm going to use you and a Croc's word here, forced?
Yeah.
Which one? Or which
Scarlet
ones?
Scarab.
Okay.
Scarlet Scarab. Valkyrie are the only 2 I could think of off the top of my head. I like those characters.
The one
So-
that Croc brought as the exact opposite. Okay, good.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. Those 2 I think are well written. Sure, they come in as side characters, but they're really important. And it's like I don't know. You can't hate if you have them.
Hype
You
train.
can't. I'm sorry. There's a hype train. Do you want to?
Sorry,
Wanna go
sorry.
off?
No, go ahead.
Just go
go
off.
ahead.
I feel like without those characters, it wouldn't be the main character. So I feel like that's pretty important too. And there's no shame in that. So I really like those characters. The characters I don't like are, I like the Wakandan tribe characters too. That's cool. No one ever talks about them. And
True, we don't, right?
yeah, like
The
Michonne from The
Royal
Walking
Guard.
Dead.
I don't even remember her name. The main when she says where is she all this time when
Yeah, she's funny and she's actually a great actress.
yes, she is.
And so those soldiers don't get enough talk about, and I like how, especially, I don't know why we haven't talked about them this whole time. Actually, I don't remember their names. I know they have a name, especially in the show for the Winter Soldier and Falcon. They were in that.
the Memphis Nest one.
Yeah,
Guys,
and
thank
so
you
they're
so much
badass,
for
and
the
they're like,
subs,
yeah, you
guys.
guys don't want to mess with these guys. Like, I'm talking through. I keep getting distracted by this hype train. Sorry.
I am too.
Congrats on the hype train.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for the hype train. That is incredible. Elish, Gas and Burn, Ash, probably Agathon, Gas and Burn for the bits. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome.
what did I do?
Well, I usually the anonymous gifts are mostly from you, so I presumed it was you. But if it's not you, thank you, whoever what it was. That was incredible.
I mean, I think you're defeating the purpose of anonymous by calling people out. Asparagus.
Yeah, so it was Agathon.
I'm not saying it was or it wasn't, because it's
True.
anonymous.
Okay.
Also, if it wasn't Agathon, whoever did it is probably feeling really. Agathon's getting all this credit, you know.
Nobody
They're
has.
probably wishing that they wouldn't have made it anonymous. Anonymous? Anonymous.
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 Phenomena.
Anonymous.
Zeke is mentioning
There
one
goes my mouth again.
anonymous. Boop, boop, doop, boop. Anonymous. Boop, boop, ba-doo-doo, ba-doo-doo. Zeke is mentioning one character that nobody mentioned so far, and I think is a pretty good one.
Well,
Wanda.
I mean,
Wanda's
I
bad
haven't
now.
gone yet. I've just been sitting here patiently waiting my
Yeah,
turn.
go ahead. Go ahead, Ash. Go ahead.
I would have to say, I know she's not a hero yet, but I'm waiting for like series. Like I hope they do her justice, to possibly becoming the new Black Panther, because I absolutely like love her character, even though
talking
she's
Shuri?
not. Sir, yeah. Like
Okay,
I said.
that's not gonna happen. She made some very very, well, let's say controversial takes about the vaccine and COVID-19 and everything, and I heard that she's on the way out because yeah, she has been a very loud anti-vaxxer, and Disney do not want to associate with her. So I've even
Well,
heard
it's
about
not
some cuts about her own movie when she will probably slowly disappear from the MCU.
He's that.
Well, now you guys are gonna see
scared.
me cry on stream.
I'm so scared for Wakanda forever because I don't know how they're gonna do this.
Well, let's just a moment for Chadwick Boseman, like, please.
True.
Thank you.
The
Thank you.
movie 42 was
Um,
amazing.
It
Great movie.
I think he was, I mean, like RDJ, like Chris Evans, he is like the epitome of the character, you know? And I think there's a few characters that as villains I thought were amazing villains. Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger. I think Helena as another, I think she was a strong female villainess. Um, but as far as like heroes go, I don't know if I can say I liked a female superhero. And like, sure, there's Wanda, but I feel like they heavily added in this, you know, romance line with Vision, which I mean, obviously, I didn't watch or read the comics, so I don't know if that was an actual thing or not. So, I mean,
No,
if
it
it
is.
was,
It is big time.
oh, okay. Well, then that's good then.
They villainized her, that's the problem. Is that what you were
But
going for?
but then they villainized her, and I understand the whole, how it must have felt. It was stating of how much she's lost for her to kind of end up bad, but it would have been cool to see, despite how much she's lost and how much she continues to like lose, she continues to
Can
rise up.
can she be redeemable at this point? I mean, after WandaVision, I thought that was over for her. She was never coming back after
is.
like mind wiping and wiping an entire town, and then she did even worse in
Exactly.
Doctor in the Weird Physician, I would like to call it here. So, is there any way she's gonna come back as a hero? I don't see it at all.
Well,
Hell no.
I mean, unless they have like the redemption arc of like, I mean, and there's no good redemption arcs in a lot of things. The only redemption arc I always see that I go back to as a reference to really good story would be Avatar: The Last Airbender with Zuko. But that's just because I'm a nerd. And I agree. I don't think she would have, but that's kind of the reason why I don't think she was a great hero, because she obviously ended up not being a hero. So I don't know. I don't think there's one female superhero where I'm like, awesome. I really like that character. Like, there are female characters I like, but as a hero and as a woman, no, I don't think there's one that really does it justice, and for the lack of better terms.
Agaton, Croc, you want to jump in on this? It's been a while since I've heard from both of you.
You know, I can see that, I can see your point that there's not a bunch of female-led superheroes that you can really attach to. I get that. And I would say there's not a lot of male ones I can attach myself to, but I just love some of the characters, how they've changed as far as what they were in the comics versus what they are now. And the one that comes to mind is Janet for Wasp. I love her portrayal in the films way more than I like them in the comic book. She's a genius. She's a badass. She doesn't take any shit, and she kicks some major ass.
As someone who doesn't read comics and is interested in hearing what that is, would you care to educate me and kind of state the differences between the two?
You should have said mansplain. That's Agaton you're talking to.
I see, that's your thing. That's not my thing. I mean, I'm an asshole, but
But I'm a bigger
the whole
asshole.
mansplaining
Okay, I
thing
get it.
is not something I call people out on.
No.
Okay. But he doesn't do it. That's why I call him. That's why.
Do you want me to explain what the difference of the characters in the comics versus the book, or sorry, the comics versus the movie?
Yeah, because it sounds like you're very passionate on at least on that one.
No,
female superhero.
necessarily. I would definitely not necessarily very passionate. I'm just that was a bit of knowledge. Like what came to mind when thinking about positive differences between comics and movies. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where else to go from there. I guess, but I say they had a rough start for female choices in the Marvel, but I feel like they are making headway towards it, and I think just moving forward, we're going to get great female superheroes, and hopefully just as good male superheroes moving forward as well.
That kind of leads me to my last question I had ready, and I think probably think I'm gonna aim this one at Krog first. As you just said, Agaton, they had a very bad start to begin with. I think they even get some light backlash at the beginning for having a mostly male dominated MCU. Are you taking that some people are now complaining about the current state of it because they're trying to overcompensate and trying to say, yeah, we fucked it up at start. Now we're just going to do the exact same thing the other way? Is that one way people see it? Do you think that's why there's a lot of anger going on right now? Or is it just people being sexist? Croc?
I have an idea, but I'll go once everyone else is gone.
Um,
Okay.
so to reiterate, you're asking me if we think that everyone's being sexist or if people
No, well, are, are people not happy right now? Is it of some kind of feeling that they're overcompensating and they're mostly focusing on mostly women characters right now because they had a bad start, as Agaton said, and it started mostly on men characters, and now they're trying to overcompensate and trying to fix what you've seen as a mistake, or it's not that at all?
So I do think they are overcompensating. They're not giving their writers enough time to produce these characters. They're pumping out these female characters so fast that we don't get a good feeling of who they're supposed to be. So yes, the addition to more female characters is good, but they're trying to fix what they didn't have before. And because of that, these characters aren't written the greatest. They just need more time. I'm not against any of these characters in the slightest, but they do need more time in the oven, as per se.
I completely disagree, actually.
Same
Because
Z's.
if you look at it, the last few Marvel movies, I mean, like especially just coming to mind, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, male leading movies. Um, and then let's talk about I mean obviously I agree that the quality isn't there for these women in the movies. But I don't agree with the whole time that they're not giving them enough time. I think there is plenty of time to have an actual quality Black Widow movie. Before
There-
ScarJo did the
Go ahead.
before ScarJo sued them, I think they had plenty of time to develop these female characters, but I feel like they chose quantity over quality. They had the time. I feel like they
That
had
is
the
true.
time to do it, but they're like, they won't notice. Throws in tons of female characters.
To be
So
fair,
I absolutely agree.
quantity over quality should be regardless of gender and sexes. Quality over quantity should be the latest tagline for Disney Plus in my view.
I
Agreed.
I agree. And actually, there is one female character that's I would like argue in the MCU is like amazing, which is just female Loki. The whole Loki series, we're gonna be honest, is just I think was one of the best TV series that Marvel produced. Even against WandaVision.
Agreed.
Oh, I
And
know
Hell
Moose loves
yeah.
Loki.
I love Loki. It's great.
it's so good. I think it's funny. I think it's complex. I think it's a really well done show. And I love female Loki. I think she's done.
Yeah, we didn't talk about Sylvie yet.
Yeah, we haven't talked about Sylvie. So, and I think it's kind of funny because you could see her more as a villain, and I think they did really good with the female villains.
Agreed.
Um, But yeah, as far as female superheroes, I think they had the time. They just didn't take it to produce something as good as what I think, Iron Man was, or I wasn't the biggest fan of Captain America, Steve Rogers. I like the films. I'll rewatch them, but I mean they're not my favorite. That's just, personal. And then it just kind of irks me that there are so many Spider-Man movies, but Black Widow didn't get a movie. These women aren't getting movies. So, and I understand, people going to watch them? Are they going to be quality? Are they going to be super cheesy? And who's to say? We're all just here. None of us are in the film industry. We're just part of the general public who take in this content and have opinions about it.
I'm sorry to let you down, but that Spider-Man stuff is never going to stop because he's so marketable.
He is. He's actually I do love Spider-Man. And I mean me and my partner fight all the time. Who's the better Spider-Man? I
They're all
say it's
good.
Tom Holland. He
Andrew.
says it's Tobey Maguire.
Andrew.
Andrew never comes up.
Andrew
Um,
Garfield.
but
Well,
I
both you
think
and your
they all-
partner can be equally wrong on this one. So
I like all of them.
I
They're
do,
all
but
equally good.
I think they're all good for their own reasons and their own universes, for sure. But
Except
what
for Andrew being better.
it upsets me that they can have like three different Spider-Mans, and
well,
where
these
the good quality women at?
Half of that is Marvel's fault, and well, less than half of that is Marvel's fault, and the most of
Oh,
that
Sony,
is
yeah.
Sony. So
Well, I get that. I get that, but at the same time,
yeah, no, I
I
see
feel
what you
like
mean.
we could have waited on
Where's
that many
that
Spider-Man
Spider
movies.
Gwen film at?
yeah. Well, she was pretty cool
Actually,
in multiverse, the Spider-Verse. She was awesome. She was my favorite character.
Yep.
I was just about to say the best Spider-Man movie was Into the Spider-Verse, in my opinion.
And she was the best by far, in my view, the best character from the movie. Okay, well,
Oh yeah.
I don't know if it's a comic thing. Maybe there's a female Doc Ock in the movies, in the comic, but
There is.
so they did not gender band Doc Ock for this one.
No, Spider-Man
Okay.
is one of the movies that do their best movies are when there's many villains from many universes and many Spider-Mans, in my opinion.
Well, and then you look into, didn't Doc Ock recently come up in one of the I hate to say, hold on, hopefully I'm not spoiling anything for anybody, but I'm pretty sure Doc Ock came up in the no, not Captain, the Winter Soldier and ho- uh, Falcon movie.
Doc Ock?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
I don't think so.
I don't know about that.
I thought that was I thought she introduced herself as Dr. Octavia. Well, I gotta figure this out now. You guys keep talking. I got it. This is gonna like kill me if I don't do this right now.
Well, I've been going at this for a long time, so I just like to know Agaton and Moose and Croc's thought on Sylvie from Loki.
Good character. That's also another example of Marvel doing a good female character.
Is she a
Simple
hero or is
as
she a villain?
that. Well, what is a hero or a villain except for a different perspective? I mean, I guess she was introduced as a big serial killer or whatever, and then we meet her through Loki, and then we start to understand her. So really, she's kind of not a villain at the end of the day because there's a bigger one, and then Loki teams up, and Loki's actually a villain anyways. So I don't even know why it matters if she's a villain or not.
True.
But I honestly I feel like it wasn't for any gender thing or anything. They put her as just a mysterious killer as a plot twist because everyone loves plot twists. And it was a good plot twist and then ended up being not so bad at all. Just on a mission because she had a messed up childhood, so.
Croc, Agaton?
Agathon, you can go first.
So polite.
I like Sylvie. I think Moose brought some really good points, and I can't believe I'm gonna say this. I pretty much agree with everything he says.
Thank you, Agathon.
That's the first.
welcome.
That's the clip, guys. Please, someone clip
I'm also
this.
I'm also
Okay. There's a bot.
super
There's a bot.
distracted. No, I'm super distracted because these walls apparently are very thin. And our neighbors are having
Oh no.
a fun
good-
time.
A good time.
Yeah, but I think she's totally faking it.
Ooh,
Wow.
damn.
So yeah, just a wee bit distracted. But yeah, nope. Honestly, Moose, you hit that nail right on the head.
Sweet. When do I not?
You want to
When
start
the
with
fuck
this?
do you? Besides right now.
Republic Rants episode 1 through right now.
I may give you one, but I wasn't on that episode, so.
Does anyone remember like the Falcon and the Winter Soldier like scene by scene? Because I remember the scene. I can tell you who she is, like where she comes up and everything. I
Nope.
just cannot place her.
Nope.
Maybe it was so
And her name.
obscure that nobody remembers, even the producers, because we still have yet to get this universe's Doc Ock.
Because it was the is that her?
Well, I don't know. I just feel like I highly
No,
doubt
that's
that they
his-
would put a Doc Ock in that show. And
Well, that's why I'm confused because I feel like she had this importance.
There's a Dr.
and I
Rayner.
can't-
I'm
No,
looking
because
right
I think
now.
that doctor was uh,
well, honestly, I'm gonna put it like this: if there is a Doc Ock in that show, you can probably just look up Doc Ock
what
show
I just did.
title.
That's what I
Yeah,
just
just look
did.
up Doc Ock show title. If nothing pops up, then that's not Doc Ock.
They didn't find anything. It
Simple
would
as
have been
that.
everywhere.
Well, now-
Like 25
now that
YouTube
I'm-
videos with a big
Oh,
red
okay, I
circle and a big arrow pointing at it.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry,
And if
Ash. It's probably another doctor. Any final thoughts on Sylvie before we wrap this up?
I thought she was a good character, and I thought it was a good use of the multiverse thing. I just isn't there a kiss though that doesn't make any sense and is a little bit like kissing yourself in that. I heard that was a
Yeah.
thing. I don't really understand that. It's okay, I guess. There's some weird
It's
things
quick.
in the multiverse, but
It's quick
I was-
considering the characters known each other for like half a day.
that's true.
It's
But
perfect.
it's also coming from a super narcissistic who loves himself so much, so I didn't bother me so much. If it could happen to a character, I would accept it from Loki.
Yeah,
I think
I-
it's,
one
I think
thing
it's
that was-
symbolism.
maybe.
The one thing that came out of nowhere for me and seemed like it was just thrown there for the applause was Loki making a remark at being bisexual and nothing else coming out of it. Which didn't understand why it was mentioned to begin with if it never became part of the story. As I was expecting something like Loki actually kissing himself, but no, they went safe and they hadn't kiss a female version of himself. Not a lot of reaction on this one.
Didn't Doctor Strange get banned in China because of a certain thing similar to that?
Probably.
It was Doctor Strange got banned in some places for the America's Mothers. So
Oh, that's
she
Oh,
right.
that's why.
Moms?
Because I
That's
kept
right, yeah.
thinking about why it was banned. I couldn't see it, and just to me, it just sounds so
Yep.
normal that it
And
didn't even bother me.
And I wouldn't be surprised if it was also because she had a pride pin the whole movie on.
Probably.
Which
But I know
never
I
even
know it's
noticed.
specifically her mom's. Yeah.
Mm.
I want to say that I did find it, and I was thinking of a totally different character than Doc Ock. It was just when I see the actress, I don't know why, but
it made me think.
the-
It made me
that-
think of her.
it made me think of it. Do you guys want to know who it is?
Go
It's
ahead.
Val.
Val. Oh,
Val.
yeah. Okay.
Valentina.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
Another
yeah, the
tease
purple
that we never
streak.
got something out of it so far.
Yet it's the Thunderbolts, dude.
Someday.
where are you going?
Um, okay, I think we're about to wrap this up. Croc, I wanted to ask you, is there anything else you wanted to mention? Because you're the one who brought this topic, and I thank you so much for bringing this to us tonight. I've had so far a blast, a lot of fun, and I just want to make sure you were able to discuss anything you wanted tonight.
I'm just really bad at bringing topics that don't start arguments. It mostly just bothered me, a lot of this stuff, because I have been a writer for so long, and people are trying to keep up with the times while destroying people's work in some cases. And it just kind of felt like that to me because ever since Stan passed, things have been really odd. So it was just what I wanted to see if anybody else felt the same way because it's just been a weird feeling since then.
Does anyone feel that way? I don't, but I
like
can
where
see
Marvel's
that your
going.
arguments do not come out of a place of hate and of a place of love for writing. So I'm very happy to hear more about it.
Yeah.
Moose?
I like where Marvel's going right now. It just seems a little bit more chaotic. I'm looking at bigger picture. It just seems more chaotic because I feel like people are not as patient as they were back in 2008 because they didn't think of like a huge overarching thing coming to conclusion so fast. And now that we got that whole overarching story, we're excited for the next one. Now we're impatient, so we don't understand what's going on. It seems like a mess. Just wait for everything
Because we don't have an
connect.
overacting story right now.
It's so easy to get mad at things not connecting when it's in the middle of a story. Like, yes, we're finishing multiple stories, but like we're not actually finished. So I like what Marvel's going. They're including a lot more things. They started at a different time in 2008 as to right now, so they're trying to possibly make up for what they're doing. And I think a lot of what we talked about tonight could be a reflection of that. And yeah, I like what they're doing. Diversity is the biggest word of the night, I think, and they're just trying to get more of that, I believe. So
I think diversity is important and it's also showcased by those opposed to it because most of the time people opposed to diversity, they will just scream that they're not the one being showcased, which proves the point that people like to be the center of to be showcased in a story. Like, why is a white male not in the center of a story? They're not talking about us. Well, that's how everybody else has been thinking for a long time. So congrats, you're just getting the point. No, diversity is bad, but you just proved that you understand the point because you want it for yourself. So I think it just...
People have to be able to relate to every single character, apparently, and it's weird, and I don't like it.
How is it
Just
weird?
as a writer, because I've had people yell at me in my books for not including their race when it's a fictional fantasy book with races that don't exist.
Why is it weird? I think it's just natural. Everybody most likely will gravitate and identify with a character that resembles them in some way, either intellectually or physically or sexually, whatever. If you feel there's someone that is somehow like you, whoever you are, whatever you are, I'm convinced that you have way much more chance to gravitate and like this character.